Hi, this is John Harcher. Welcome to episode 23 of Left Turn at Albuquerque. Today we'll be using the excuse of reviewing the last release in the Looney Tunes Superstar series to celebrate the 80th birthday of one of the most important characters in the entire Warner's cartoon pantheon. And he can be summed up in two words: suffering succotash.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I should have turned left at Albuquerque.
Yes, it's Sylvester's 80th birthday. Well, it was back on March 24th, but somebody's 90th birthday was taking a bit of precedence. So we'll do it here. He's unique among all the famous stars of Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies in that he was the co-star in not one, not two, but three different series, as well as a good number of solo cartoons. He was also used by 5 different directors, more than any other character apart from Bugs, Daffy, Porky, and Elmer. I mean, he just missed working with Frank Tashlin. He's really Warner's utility player. Now, as I was checking up on a few things online, I came across a neat little history of Sylvester's early days from my buddy from the Hoppin' Boards, Hadge Tunes, over on threads.net. Since it covers a lot of the same stuff I'll be talking about here, I may have cribbed some notes from him, so I'm just giving a hat tip just in case. It's nice and concise, so have a look over there after you finish this, of course. Sylvester made his debut in Light with Feathers on March 24th, 1945. We did this back in episode 9 on Platinum Collection Volume 3. He basically emerged fully formed, exactly as the cat we'd come to know over the decades.
Suffering succotash! Squab!
Only he wasn't called Sylvester. He wasn't called anything at that point. Friz Freleng liked him enough to use him again in Peck Up Your Troubles, which just got a nice cleanup on Collector's Choice Volume 4, and we did in episode 17. Then Bob Clampett decided to use him in Kitty Cornered. We need to do the release date on this, June 8th, 1946. He had a black nose instead of red, but there's no mistaking that lisp.
Brother Pussycat, we've been skidded out, scooted out, backed out, and booted out. But tonight, we was scared out.
Of all the characters, Sylvester's voice was probably the closest to Mel Blanc's actual one, minus the lisp. He told Greg Ford a funny way to distinguish Sylvester and Daffy apart from the speed up. Daffy's lisp is Jewish and Sylvester's is Gentile. Clampett then had an idea to team up the still unnamed cat with his character Tweety in a cartoon tentatively titled Fat Rat and the Stupid Cat. This appears to be all we have left of it. But Clampett left before doing any further work on it. A little later, Friz Freleng came upon this idea and wanted to do the team-up himself. Now, this was the infamous incident where producer Ed Seltzer rejected the idea of putting the two together, saying it was impractical. It led to a fight that almost caused Freleng to quit. But Seltzer changed his mind and the cartoon went forward, leading to one of the most famous cartoon duos of all time. Now, since I didn't do this when we did Tweety Pie, by the way, released on May 3rd, 1947, way back when we started the series, and I pushed off the Academy Awards collection, let me get this out of the way here. Now, Tweety Pie was originally in the AAP package and also had a blue ribbon reissue. Unfortunately, a good version of the original title sequence has yet to appear anywhere. However, there is an AAP copy with the original titles attached. Problem is, it's from a black and white copy, so it's not in the greatest shape. There is a color version of the title card, but only black and white screenshots of the other 2 credits. Now, over on YouTube, Adam F. 2003, with some help from Pac-Mania 67, was able to come up with a pretty good recreation of what the original titles might have looked like. There's another one up there with some weird colors on it, but this one I think looks the best. It's too bad an Academy Award-winning cartoon does not have its original title sequence, but that's the way it goes. Now, as far as what his name was, we know in this short it's Thomas! He went unnamed in the 2 Art Davis shorts from 1947 that appeared on Collector's Choice Volume 1, Catches Cats Can and Doggone Cats. The first one had Mel deciding to play around with the voice a little bit.
What do you want?
Now, that same year, 1947, saw Robert McKimson work with Sylvester for the first time in the Foghorn Leghorn cartoon Crowing Pains. We'll be dealing with this one on Golden Collection Volume 6, or sooner, depending on Collector's Vault Volume 1. He finally got his name in the Chuck Jones-directed Scaredy Cat.
Welcome to our new home, Sylvester.
The name itself does have ties to Mel Blanc's radio career. He was a regular on the Judy Canova show, where he played a character named Sylvester, who has a lisp. So by the time we get to 1948, he'd begun to appear with Tweety in that series. He'd still appear off and on in solo cartoons with Friz Freleng, but he also began another series, or two, by McKimson, which is collected in its entirety in the final release in the Superstar series. Sylvester and Hippety Hopper, Marsupial Mayhem, or the Zombie Superstars disc, just when you thought the series was over. It's back from the dead. Back in the day, a Sylvester and Friends release had been announced but then got canceled. However, a few months later, it had returned to the schedules, possibly slightly reconfigured to give the release a solid reason. This disc, released on April 23, 2013, contains all of the appearances of not only the giant quote-unquote mouse Hippety Hopper, but also Sylvester's frequent co-star in these, Sylvester Jr. There are two of them that appeared on the Golden Collections, but like the Pepe Le Pew set, since this is a complete collection, there's no complaints about double dipping. All of the cartoons, save one, were directed by Robert McKimson, so when we talk about the cartoons, we'll focus on the writers. The Hippety Hopper cartoons are all in chronological order. The ones with just Sylvester Jr. are really out of any kind of order, but it ends with the right one as far as I'm concerned. Hop, Look, and Listen was released on April 17, 1948, written by Warren Foster. In the Ruse debut, he escapes from a zoo and ends up at a house where Sylvester and a mouse are fighting for dominance. Yet when the giant mouse scares the cat away, the bulldog of the house tries to get his nerve back up. As we mentioned, Sylvester was mainly a Freleng character by this point, so McKimson tried to do something different with him by pitting him against the cat's traditional enemy, then playing off that aspect with the giant mouse concept. There's a really wild shot of Sylvester chasing Hippety with an axe around a carpet. It looks almost 3D-ish, and my son really loves this ending.
When you sees mice that big with two heads, it's time to get on the water wagon.
Now, I'm not sure if I'd ever seen this one before this disc came out, but it's been in the Boomerang rotation for quite a while. Hippety Hopper came out November 19, 1949, also written by Foster. A mouse runs into an escaped baby kangaroo, and they team up to bug the daylights out of Sylvester and the bulldog of the house. It's basically the same cartoon as the last one, Bulldog and all, just slightly reconfigured. Now, the case says 17 of the cartoons have never appeared on DVD before. I think they may have overlooked this one, since it appeared at a bonus selection on Disc 1 of Volume 6. Likely unrestored there, but it restored here. To be honest, I really don't remember seeing this one much either, and it's not on Boomerang right now. Pop and Pop was released on October 28, 1950, again by Foster. Hippety's mom is a boxing kangaroo, so he decides to follow in Mom's footsteps out in the real world. In an alley, he comes upon Sylvester bragging to his son about battling a giant mouse. Now, this is Sylvester Jr.'s first appearance, and it's here that they've stumbled on the formula that they take through most of the next decade with the characters. They also kind of didn't play with the voice too much. Take a listen.
Come on, Pop. Go get the mouse like you said you could.
This is yet another one I don't remember seeing before this disc came out. However, out of nowhere, Boomerang just aired it the last weekend in March and has officially been added to the rotation. Now, it's an open question if Hippety and his mom, known as Gracie, are the same ones that appear in Bushy Hair, which is a McKimson. I'm good either way. Who's Kitten Who came out on January 5th, 1952. This one was written by Ted Pierce. Hippety is left at a zoo but hops away, box and all, till Sylvester and Junior's house. Now, this time they decided to speed up Mel's voice for Junior in this one to make it into the one that we're used to.
When are we going to chase a mouse, Pop?
Plus, they gave him the whole
Oh, Father.
attitude here as well when Dad keeps getting beaten up by a quote-unquote mouse. Now, finally, I remember this one from Saturday mornings a little bit. Hoppy-Go-Lucky was released on August 9, 1952, also by Pierce. This time, Mount Sylvester is teamed up with a Lenny cat who keeps calling him George.
And stop calling me George. My name's Sylvester.
They hang out by the docks looking for mice when one hides out in a box with a baby kangaroo. I know I saw this one somewhere, I'm just not sure where. It's probably Saturday mornings on ABC. Cat's Away came out on November 28th, 1953, again by Pierce. Junior's back, this time getting Sylvester a job on a cruise ship as head mouser. Daddy gets Junior to chase the little mice while promising to go after the big ones himself. Then a certain kangaroo shows up. Another one I know I saw a little, most likely on Cartoon Network, but it was added to the Boomerang rotation last year, so I've seen it quite a bit. Bellhoppy was released on April 17, 1954 by Pierce. Sylvester's on his own as an alley cat trying to get into a gang but keeps getting blackballed. Then he takes up a challenge to put a bell on a mouse just as a baby kangaroo escapes. They came up with an interesting take on the old Marx Brothers mirror routine right here. Now this one was in syndication when I was small, but Channel 5 had an early scene and the ending cut out. I finally saw the complete tune, innocuous ending and all, on ABC later on. Lighthouse Mouse came out on March 5, 1955, this one written by Sid Marcus. An Australian ship leaves a package at the foot of a lighthouse one dark night, while Sylvester searches for a mouse causing trouble with the light. Not only don't I remember it, I'm pretty sure I never saw it until this disc, but it's been in the Boomerang rotation since last year, so I'm making up for lost time. Too Hop to Handle was released on January 28, 1956, written by Foster. And McKimson was his own head animator again. Hippety heads into the big city and ends up at Sylvester and Junior's house, and doesn't it sound a lot like Who's Kitten Who? It starts out that way, but Junior gets the idea to try to be the Pied Piper to get some of the mice, so it branches off into a slightly different direction. I remember this one from Saturday mornings, possibly as far back as CBS. Slap Hoppy Mouse came out on September 1st, 1956, written by Pierce. Sylvester and Junior live in a big mansion, but the little one wants to catch mice. So father and son put on their Elmer hats and find a rundown house with plenty of mice. But a kangaroo falls off a circus train and ends up in the basement. Now, I really didn't remember this one, but a lot of jokes looked familiar since they used them over and over again in this series. Maybe it was on ABC towards the end of their run, but say it with me, it's been in the Boomerang rotation for years, so I know it like the back of my hand now. Mouse-Taken Identity was released on November 16, 1957, again by Pierce. Hippety escapes from the zoo again and ends up at the museum while Sylvester is bringing his son to work catching mice. At least it gives them the opportunity for all kinds of different locales to chase the quote-unquote mouse. Now, I definitely remember this one from ABC Saturday mornings. We also touched on this as a bonus on the Mouse Chronicles set. It was unrestored there, but they fixed it up here. Hippety disappeared for 4 years until Hoppy Daze, which came out February 11, 1961, again by Pierce. Sylvester ends up getting used by a washed-up Jimmy Durante-like mouser who needs to eat. Of course, he discovers the baby kangaroo, but the little guy is expecting food no matter what. This is another ABC Saturday morning one that's been on Boomerang since last year. The Roo appeared for the final time in the Golden Age in Freudy Cat, released on March 14, 1964 by Pierce. Sylvester is having nightmares about a giant mouse, so Junior takes him for treatment. This then allows him to take footage from the earlier tunes and reuse them. Some reason in the 60s they started liking to do these compilation cartoons. I probably saw this one on ABC. We move into the rest of Junior's section here with Cat's Paw that came out on August 15, 1959 with Pierce writing. Junior needs help for a bird-watching merit badge, so Sylvester takes him mountain climbing to find an eagle in a nest. Needless to say, the bird is not an easy subject. This is the first Sylvester and Son short without the kangaroo, and their dynamic works just as well not looking for a mouse. There's a really great opening shot in this one. Just terrific work by everyone. This was on ABC all the time, and it was one of the shorts that went missing from Boomerang when they got rid of that one show, but is now back in the rotation. Fish and Slips was released on March 10, 1962, this time written by Dave DeTeach. To prove he's a great fisherman, Sylvester brings Junior to the aquarium. Of course, the easy catches prove not to be. This is the same basic plot as the last one, just with a little more variety. Longtime editor Treg Brown makes an unexpected cameo here.
Today, in Malibu, California, a record-breaking sharp-nosed trowelfaz was caught by Mr. Treg Brown. Mr. Brown's only comment was,
"'Twarn't nothing.
And we get a little shout out to a recent TV show.
I'm top dog. Top cat.
This is another one that was on ABC all the time, and also it is in the Boomerang rotation. Birds of a Father came on April Fool's Day, April 1st, 1961. So why wasn't this before the last one? Again, written by DeTeach. Sylvester lets it be known to Junior that he shouldn't be friends with birds, just eat them. Then he tries to show them how it's done, and fails miserably. Say it with me. I really don't remember this one, but yep, it's in the Boomerang rotation. The last McKimson on the disc is Claus and the Lease, released on November 9th, 1963, written by John Dunn. Sylvester and Junior are tired of living in the alley, but when they find a house, only Junior is welcome. So Dad tries everything in the book, including infesting the house with mice, to gain acceptance of the lovely woman who owns the place. Never mind, remember, I flat out never saw this one in the old days. Not surprising considering it was towards the end of the studio, but let's say it again, it's been on Boomerang for years. The only cartoon on the disc not by McKimson is the final one, Goldimouse and the Three Cats, which came out on March 15th, 1960, directed by Fritz Freleng and written by Michael Maltese. Spoiled brat doesn't want to eat porridge, so Dad tries catching a mouse, with Mom always there to pick up the pieces. Gave every dad a great saying to get your kids in line when they're acting up.
Spoiled brat.
Now, oddly enough, this is probably the quintessential Sylvester and Son cartoon without a giant hopping creature in it. It's also the only one of these to have officially appeared on the Golden Collections on Volume 5, a syndicated staple that ended up on ABC, but is not in the Boomerang rotation. Yet. One thing you may have noticed, there was a lot of, I really don't remember this one. I was surprised how many of these weren't included in any of the regular rotations on the various iterations of the Looney Tunes shows until the recent Boomerang days. Sylvester Jr. and Hippety showed up in the late 80s opening of the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show on ABC, so you'd think more of their cartoons would have been there. As far as this disc, they really should have put Birds of a Father, Fish and Slips in their correct order just to break up the two tunes with the exact same concept. I mean, Cat's Paw and Fish Slip, basically the same thing. It's also interesting that Sylvester's two main co-stars, Tweety and Junior, never met in one giant team-up. I suspect Freleng could have done it since he knew how to use Junior and Goldimouse. What could have been? Looking back on the Superstars line, it's pretty clear when they did one with a specific purpose, like this, the one with Pepe Le Pew, and pretty much the Foghorn Leghorn one, they did a solid job and almost couldn't go wrong. When they were left to their own devices with minor characters like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Porky Pig, that's sarcasm, folks, it's a mixed bag. And then there are the outright debacles of the double dip Tweety and Sylvester, and the all post-1965 Roadrunner set, which will do. At least the double dip Bugs was overseas only, and the poor Elmer set that never was. Oh well. At the time this came out, I wrote to my friends, I'm going to put my glasses on, what they seemed to be set on doing with the Platinum collections, Mouse Chronicles, and a few of the Superstars discs is put out complete collections of as many characters as possible. They might have taken care of them a lot already, but they probably should concentrate more in this direction. So now back to today, you can see with what they've done with the Collector's Choice volumes have really made headway, but we're still not done with some of the shorter series being all out on Blu-ray, like the Three Bears, Charlie Dog, and the Bugs Bunny Wile E. Coyote team-ups. Hopefully Collector's Vault will start taking care of these and knocking them out. Now, as we've spoken about, Sylvester did appear in an early Superstars volume, Feline Frenzy, which was made up of all previously released shorts from the Golden Collections. For the sake of completeness, we'll go ahead and list the 15 cartoons where they came from. Tweety Pie Battle, Putty Tat, and All a Bird were from Volume 2. Canary Row and Putty Tat Trouble were on Volume 1. Room and Bird on Volume 2. Tweety's SOS on Volume 1. Tweet Tweet Tweety, Gift Wrapped, Ain't She Tweet, and Snow Business all on Volume 2. Satan's Waiting on Volume 6, The Last Hungry Cat and Birds Anonymous on Volume 3, and Tweety and the Beanstalk on Volume 5. What? Was Volume 4 not good enough? Well, to be fair, the only Tweety and Sylvester cartoon on that volume is I Tore a Putty Tat, and that's only there because it's in Bugs Bunny Superstar. Now, doing so what's left for Sylvester is a little complicated. Wikipedia actually has all this laid out, so nice job, everybody, on this particular one, listing out what's there and where it's been released. So we know all the Hippety and Junior ones are taken care of. So first off, we'll take a look at any of his remaining solo cartoons not on disc as of yet. Like Porky, he's down to just 4, and they're all in the Golden Age. First is Mouse Mazurka. Technically, this hasn't appeared on disc in restored form yet. What's available on the Mouse Chronicles looks great, but officially this needs an upgrade. 1954's Dr. Jekyll's Hyde is among my most wanted upgrades. Kitty's Kitty from 1955 was missing, but will now be covered on Collector's Vault Volume 1. And that same year's Pappy's Puppy appears to be one of the only 50s cartoons to need restoration. MeTV has aired it, but unrestored. Now let's jump over to the Speedy Gonzales series and see how many of those are left. And it's also 4. Despite of his issues, his cartoons with Sylvester are fairly well covered. We have to go all the way to 1963 before we get to the first unavailable One Mexican Cat Dance. This was on TV quite a lot. The title card from the Merry Melody show is all over the internet. Then we get to 1965, and both It's Nice to Have a Mouse Around the House and Cats and Bruises haven't appeared restored, though the first is on the Mouse Chronicles. I'd keep that one for a Daffy Speedy specific set. The same with the last one from 1966, A Taste of Catnip, where Sylvester doesn't speak. And finally, with the Tweety cartoons, there's a little wiggle room here. First, we have the Stars of Space Jam disc. The original VHS and later DVD contained the following 6 cartoons: Canary Row, Putty Tat Trouble, and Snow Business, we just listed on Feline Frenzy. Sandy Claus, which didn't show up on DVD until the Academy Awards collection due to its nomination in 1955. And 2 cartoons that have yet to be released on DVD, sort of. Tree Corner Tweety and Tweet Zoo. They're not restored here, but they were restored on Max. Hopefully they'll show up officially soon. The real wiggle room is created by a 3-disc set from 2001 called I Love Tweety. This did have cartoons that did not appear in the Gold, Platinum, Superstars, or later Collector's Choice series, but has 2 issues. While this was actually the first time Looney Tunes cartoons actually appeared in restored form, they were done in that late 90s version with the heavy digital noise reduction, so they can be kind of tough to look at. And B, the series only officially appeared in Japan. But you could get a hold of these if you desperately wanted a DVD copy. Like Stars of Space Jam, this may work in a pinch. On each volume, 10 Tweety and Sylvester cartoons were supplemented by a Bugs Bunny cartoon. There's nothing unreleased here. They used Willie for Bugs on Volume 1, Baton Bunny on Volume 2, and Water Water Every Year on Volume 3. They were all on the Goldens. There's going to be a lot of overlap here with the Superstars and Space Jam discs, so I'm just trying to be comprehensive. So I'm going to use the pictures from the Looney Tunes Wiki fan page to go over these 3. Volume 1 had Tweety SOS from Golden Collection Volume 1, Catty Cornered from Collector's Choice Volume 2, Greedy for Tweety from Collector's Choice Volume 1, The Jet Cage, which was not released on any of the above series but was on Max, Muzzle Tough from Collector's Choice Volume 4, Last Hungry Cat from Golden Collection Volume 3, Tweety Circus, which will now be coming out on Collector's Vault Volume 1, Dog Pounded from the Pepe Le Pew disc and Platinum Collection Volume 3, a street cat named Sylvester, which is not available at all, except as part of the Boomerang rotation, and Bad Old Putty Tat from Golden Collection Volume 2. So quite a bit here to fill in a collection, plus 3 that wouldn't show up until the Collector's Choice series. Volume 2 had All a Bird and Ain't She Tweet from Golden Collection Volume 2, Sandy Claus and Tree Corner Tweety, we just talked about on Space Jam, Satan's Waiting from Golden Collection Volume 6, Tweet and Lovely will be on Collector's Vault Volume 1, Tweet Zoo was on Stars of Space Jam, and Foul Weather was only on Max. Snow Business and Gift Wrap were both on Golden Collection Volume 2. Again, almost half you couldn't have gotten from the usual sources. Finally, Volume 3 had Bird in a Guilty Cage from Golden Collection Volume 2, Putty Tat Trouble from Golden Collection Volume 1, A Pizza Tweety Pie, Hawaiian Eye, and Bird in a Bonnet were all only on Max. Rebel Without Claws didn't show up until Collector's Choice Volume 3. Red Riding Hoodwinked from Golden Collection Volume 5. Canary Road from Golden Collection Volume 1. And Tweet, Tweety, and Room and Bird from Golden Collection Volume 2. 3 of these are still not available, and 1 ended up on a Collector's Choice volume. Now, even with that, there are still some that are not available at all. As I mentioned, I Taught a Putty Tat is only on disc as part of the Bugs Bunny Superstar movie. Tomcat is NA, 3 guesses why. Don't think I've mentioned Tweet and Sour. It was only on Max. Same with Trick or Tweet and Tweet Dreams. And Trip for Tat isn't available at all, but it has been on MeTV. And after all that, so what's left for Tweety and Sylvester? Apart from the Daffy and Speedies, which I don't want them to use for Collector's Vault, keep them on their own. These 2 characters probably have the biggest pool of shorts left for George and Jerry to choose from. The following Tweety and Sylvester cartoons need to be made available in restored form. I Taught a Putty Tat, Foul Weather, Tomcat, Street Cat Named Sylvester, Tweet and Sour, Tree Cornered Tweety, Tweet Zoo, A Pizza Tweety Pie, A Bird in a Bonnet, Trick or Tweet, Tweet Dreams, Trip for Tat, The Jet Cage, and Hawaiian Eye. So 14 cartoons. Back in the day, that could have been a DVD all to itself. Like Feline Frenzy. So that takes care of Sylvester, except for my alternate reality. Maybe someday after Warner's goes back and restores all these, they can put out something like this. I Taught a Putty Tat, the complete Tweety and Sylvester. 53 cartoons spread out over a 2-disc set. We can start with all 3 Clampett Tweeties as well as the first 3 Sylvesters, since there's a Clampett in there too, before we start the series proper. We could toss in No Barking with Tweety's cameo, as well as Hair Condition, even though Tweety's only there for 1 scene. And speaking of completeness, let me do the 3 Clampett Tweety release dates. A Tale of Two Kitties, November 7th, 1942. Birdie and the Beast, August 19th, 1944. And A Gruesome Twosome, June 9th, 1945. Finally, one last hangover from the Porky Pig 101 episodes. It's actually Porky's bad time story? I've been saying it wrong for decades. I gotta get better glasses. Next time, it's the final Looney Tunes Superstars DVD spotlighting the Roadrunner and Coyote. Just not the ones you probably really want. I'm John Hartra. Thanks for watching.